All right, I'm going to roll a d20 today to see how good today's show is going to be. What do you think, Wendell?
20.
20? 7. I'll see what I can do. At least it wasn't a 1. I've broken my arm right now in this chair. So there hasn't been an episode of The Tech since last year. This is the first of 2013. Welcome to the after-apocalypse era.
What year is it?
Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for putting Zweihander back on the main page. You guys are insane. I am therefore again drinking coffee. I don't have any nicotine patches on right now because I think I would probably die, as I've never really had nicotine in my system before.
I'll add that to my shopping list.
Nicotine. I'm not going to put nicotine patches on. I'll tell you what I'll do next week. If you guys put Zweihander back on the main page, thank you guys all. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to leave the price at $3.33 forever. It was at $6.66 when it first came out. Now it's $3.33 forever. So thank you guys. If it gets back up to the front page on the bestseller list, I'll eat a Nagajolikia pepper, a ghost pepper, on the show. And then I'll continue to try to do the show after eating one. If I can't find one, if there's not one at the store or something, I'm sure I can find one somewhere. I've got the sauce. I'll drink some of the sauce, okay? I'll do this.
He really will.
I'll put it in my coffee. No. No. In my stomach. It will die. Someone told me we need some more medium shirts, so as soon as we sell out of the larges and the smalls, we'll order some more mediums and everything else, and we'll get a refresh, and we're going to get, like uber high thread count like we do.
That's just how the t-shirt supplier works, sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. But anyway, let's get down to business, shall we? In Oregon, they have proposed a tax for cars that have a very high MPG. Like 55, if you get better than 55 miles per gallon, you're going to have to pay extra because they get taxes and they clean up the roads when you go to the pump. And these guys are evading taxes. See how that works? You buy an expensive car and you're evading taxes and they're not able to fix the roads and you're going to have to pay per mile a tax.
Part of the reasoning here is that you get a high MPG car as an incentive to pay less. So these politicians didn't get the memo.
No. A lot of developers are into robots and creating their own things and metal work. There's a lot of developers I've noticed are really into like machining and stuff. You've got like a machine shop around here.
Yeah, we got one in the basement.
Hey, what's the last thing you built? Was it maybe that robot over there on the floor we haven't started using yet?
Yeah, that's
kind of machined.
Yeah, robot parts is pretty much all I make on the CNC mill anymore.
Well, there's a guy at Google, Niels Provost, is that how you say his name? And what he mainly does at Google, he's a developer, and he mostly works on anti-spyware type stuff, like making sure rootkits and all that stuff don't come to your platforms of choice. Well, on the side, there's a couple videos here, and they're pretty cool. He makes knives and like Viking-style swords. So I'll let you guys check out these videos. It's a very interesting process if you guys are into any of this kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of Vikings that watch this show. What's up, everybody in Norway and Sweden and Finland? You guys are my friends. Maybe I should come over there sometime soon and, I don't know, go mountain climbing or something and then have a fish dinner. You guys better have a fish dinner ready for me, hot on a plate when I get there, okay? But I'll let you guys check this out. I think it's really cool. The entire process. I took 8 minutes out of my day and watched it.
The whole genre of blacksmithing is actually pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what we need now is to marry the guys, who are programmers, developers, that are into making swords, with the guys that are programmers and developers, and they're into making robots, and then we can have these badass robots running around with Zweihanders.
It's coming to sci-fi in the fall. It's the 6-foot robot fighting sword championship show. I can't remember what it is.
Oh, that silly thing.
Yeah.
With Johnny Hot Sauce as their main guy. You see that guy? He's like, it just looks so Hollywood.
But Grant Imahara on Mythbusters got his start on one of those battle robot shows. But I just can't see building a robot and then it's like, okay, you're gonna fight to the death now. It's like, wow,
my robot.
That's just sad.
Yeah, but they write you a fat check.
Yeah, that's true. That would be nice.
Yeah, it's this massive Wikipedia hoax. Have you heard of the Bicholium conflict?
No, I can't say that I have.
Well, let me tell you how this went down. Portugal invaded India back in 1640, and it lasted from 1640 to 1641. There was some battles fought and all this stuff. And there was an article on Wikipedia, 4,500 word article. It was a hoax, and it lasted on Wikipedia for half a decade before somebody caught it.
And we don't have any idea who wrote it because it's been there so long.
The history's gone. They've deleted the history. But here's the problem with this, and where I wanted to go with this. Wikipedia is, that's most people trust Wikipedia. when you're doing research, Wikipedia, they cite their sources. I mean, you feel good about it. I know when I was like doing my research projects, I would go to Wikipedia and feel like I'm using the internet correctly. I didn't just go to johnflobber.com and get some rant. I went to Wikipedia. This information has spread across the internet. So now there are lots of other sites that reference the Battle of Petroleum and the Petroleum conflict.
Troll level 11.
I guess that makes me happy because the other websites that have republished this stuff really didn't do their homework.
Not at all. I bet it was somebody that was working for Encyclopedia Britannica.
It's kind of scary that people do not know how to search on the web. A lot of people will take the first link that comes up or the second link that comes up. Guys, when you're searching for things, do not trust anything. Okay?
Well, in fairness, Wikipedia has gotten a whole lot better in the last 5 years about catching trolls. Like, they don't allow Congress to edit Wikipedia pages anymore.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's just go in here and...
like
my toupee, I do not wear a toupee.
The Speaker of the House kept putting things like, my opponent eats children. And
this is on Wikipedia. It must be real. I'm not going to vote for that guy. He eats children.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That happens all the time. All right. This is kind of fun. Some guys from Rutgers, they developed an app that extracts the metadata. When you take like an Instagram photo with your phone, there's metadata on there that usually has like the GPS location or it can, pinpoint Wi-Fi. Anyway, the location is there. So they just created an app to take the photos and then pinpoint the location of where that person is. So if you've got a friend and he or she takes a cute picture in the mirror and you're like, man, I wish I was standing in the background of that mirror over here, like,
you now have the GPS coordinates.
and you can go do that. You can stand right outside the window looking in at that friend taking a picture in the mirror. This is going to be great for the world. It's a great way for us all to get together on a large scale and kill each other. That's just excellent. So we talked about the Leap Motion a lot. It looks like a new interface that maybe transcend the mouse. I'm not sure if it's going to replace the mouse or not, but Asus they're the first company that's come out and said, hey, we're going to be bundling the Leap Motion with some of our future PCs coming this year.
This, to me, is a huge vote of confidence in the technology because it looks so cool how well it works in their demos that it's hard for me to believe that it really does work that well. But with Asus signing off on it, that's a really huge vote of confidence.
They're one of the biggest fabricators in the world. Or not fabricators, they're one of the biggest. Well, they make more motherboards, graphics cards than just about anybody.
And they're a family of companies.
Yeah. They've got a ton of different companies, but they really do produce just more stuff. Everything from routers to earlobes. Artificial silicon-based earlobes. Yeah, so that's Leap Motion. We keep talking about that thing. I'm going to go ahead and close that up. Yay! Warren Buffett. He is investing $2.5 billion in SunPower. Now, he owns Mid-American Energy Holdings. It's one of his businesses. And they've decided to build the largest solar field in the world. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of solar, lots of silicon, will be going into that. It's kind of interesting.
It's a $2 billion solar project, and Warren Buffett is a very down-to-earth investor, so there must be something that is rock-dumb simple here.
Yeah, when I first looked at this, I was a little bit worried because I've always thought of solar as being something to appease the hippies. I mean, I'm sorry, guys. It's just so inefficient. We looked at, when I was out in Arizona living with Kane, we had my computer. It had two 3870s in there. I think it was, it was a QX 6700 overclocked to like, I don't know, some odd number. I don't remember what it was.
So it drank the power.
Yeah, it had a 1,000-watt power supply, and it used like all of it. And we thought, okay, how much is it going to cost to power that computer? So we needed to buy a $10,000 solar panel for the roof, just for my computer.
Yeah, solar is great until you take into account the cost of manufacturing the panels and how expensive the panels are. But with improvements in technology, maybe the panels are cheap enough to make now.
Yeah, and if the price keeps going down, it would start making sense for people to start putting them on their roof. The other thing that's nice about that is I did know some people out there who had a lot of money, and they would just go ahead and cover their entire roof of their backyard with the panels, and then they would hook into the grid. And they would actually get money back because they were putting energy into the grid. During the daytime, panels. Nighttime, they pull in power from the grid instead of the batteries because, like you said, they're very inefficient.
Yeah, batteries are not the way to go if you can hook into the grid and use the grid to, quote-unquote, store your power. The grid's not really storing your power, but...
It's using excess.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of cool to see that Warren Buffett's getting into that. That could mean good things. Whatever he does, it usually means good things. He's also, he's just like a decent human being, it seems.
Yeah, he really is a smart guy, but he's also a human being.
Yeah, which is weird.
Might be the only CEO in America that's not a sociopath.
Probably.
Or the most devious sociopath in America.
Yeah, he's like, I have them all thinking I'm not a sociopath. They think I'm some sort of philanthropist, humanitarian. Humanitarian?
Humanitarian.
Humanitarian. That's where I will keep them all, in my humanitarium. Whatever. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Speaking of humanitariums, let's talk about vertical farms. Now, there's a land problem, which I didn't know that existed, but I guess people want farms closer to cities.
Not just a land problem, but also the output of the farms is way down because we can't keep nutrients in the soil.
We just need to be bringing this stuff up from the Amazon.
We're destroying the soil quality, and it's really sad.
So they've got, this is like hydroponic and everything else, but they're growing fruits and vegetables on trays, and they're doing it vertically. This is a pretty interesting video. I'm big into farm hacking, and if you guys are out there into farm hacking, what's up? How's it going? Let's
show us your garden.
Yeah, show us your garden. Seriously, send me some pictures of your garden. I'll put it on here because that's all cool. Being self-sufficient and sustainable and all that stuff is cool in my book. But that's just a video I want to share with you guys in case you're interested in it or into it. If not, well, fine.
Yeah, you will be in 20 years.
Yeah, you will. You'll have no choice. Like, man, I wish I listened to Logan and Wendell when they were talking about Farm Hack. Farm Hack is also a pretty good company or a pretty cool group of guys. Check out their website, farmhack.org. I think it is, or farmhack.com. I don't know. Someone put it in the description. This is kind of funny. So we have the Android Notification Center, right? And Apple looked at that and they said, woo, in iOS 5, we're going to have the exact same notification center that pulls information from all sorts of apps and puts it into one place and has a notification thing so you can look at everything. And then Samsung was like, oh, I'm going to sue you guys for the notification center. And then Apple's like, we're going to patent the notification center that Android developed, Google developed, and then Samsung is suing us for. What?
Yeah. Well, they liked it so good, they also added it to OS 10.
Oh, you got the notification. I haven't used OS 10 in such a long time.
Yeah, it's mild. It's a little different because it's on the side instead of from the top, but
yeah,
it's the same concept. The interesting thing is this is a really great example of somebody else's concept taken by Apple, and then they're trying to patent it, but it wasn't their concept to begin with.
This is one of the most blatant examples of this, and I cannot see how this patent is going to go through. I just cannot see how it's going to go through. Google didn't even really think to patent this sort of thing. That's the thing about Google is a lot of things they do, they don't see them as patentable inventions. They're like,
well, I mean, if you really take into extremes, the Windows 95 icon tray is technically a notification center. So, I mean, my God.
Patent trolls are really out of hand. Now, historically, patent trolls have gone after the large corporations. Like, you see them chasing Google and Apple and all these, even like some of the medium-sized businesses that show up on the scene. You know, they've got like 3 or 4 employees, and a patent troll will almost put them out of business or even put them out of business. Well, now the patent trolls have decided to target individuals. And the way they are doing this is really dirty, and in fact, it may even be unethical. But right now, they want $1,000 anytime you use a scanner. There's a patent troll out there. You can pretty much get into this because you know something about this almost firsthand.
Yeah, so the situation in the Ars Technica article is that there's this company that claims that they own a patent on scanning something and then sending an email. And so if you have a copier or any kind of equipment that will scan something and then send it in an email, you owe them $1,000 per person that uses that piece of equipment. It's absolutely ludicrous. It's completely insane. But they're targeting people that generally would have a hard time defending themselves. Now, so far, well, no, I can't say that, but the problem with this is that a lot of the times when people get these types of a notice, their advice from their attorney is to just settle and not really look into it. But this doesn't make any sense. I mean, the patents that they have don't even predate a RICO patent, which covers, sending an email and blah, 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 that presumably Xerox and other people license. This is just trolling. This is not unlike the file sharing lawsuits. Now, the really interesting thing here is that this company, whoever really owns the patent, has apparently licensed it to 8 or 9 or 10 barely existing companies that are just 6-letter names. And so every different person that's targeted gets a letter from a different company accusing them of stealing their patent.
And they can't run to Google and look up these companies because they're pretty much just
they don't exist.
Bogus entities.
See, and the reason they're doing it that way now is because this same outfit was like Project Paperless. And so people targeted by Project Paperless all got together and created stopprojectpaperless.com.
That's good.
Yeah, and so stopprojectpaperless.com saw all these people that were being bullied get together and rise up. And so now the law firm's like, okay, well, we'll just create different companies so they can't find each other, everybody that we target. And it's like, that's bad.
Yeah. By the way, Paul, thank you for the coffee again. This one's very good. This is a different one. It's a little bit earthier. I think this is the Rwandan. So, dude, thanks for brewing up the coffee or roasting the coffee beans for me. Let's talk about Microsoft for a little while. There's all kinds of crazy things going on. Now, last week we talked about how Microsoft was really losing the race when it comes to handheld devices, mobile devices, and laptops. However, if you look at the desktops, they actually made some gains recently, and now they are on 91.7% of desktop computers, and that is up just a little bit, 0.29%, but that's the first time in 6 months that they've gone up. Could be because of the launch of Windows. The OEMs say that the launch of Windows 8 is not doing so well. Microsoft says it's doing pretty good. Right now, it is 1.1 to 1.72% of the desktop market, so it's pretty low.
Yeah, it seems like the OEMs are saying that Windows 8 is struggling, and I tend to agree.
Yeah. Mac OS 10 is at 7.07%, and Linux is at 1.19%. We looked at Linux last week, talking about how that was his biggest failure, that Linux did not take over the desktop. And there you see how low it really is, 1.19%. It'll be interesting to see how that grows. But I think the biggest problem is, and we mentioned this last week, is that people do not, regular people, I mean, people watching the show probably do, but a lot of the standard users do not install operating systems. So we need more companies like Zotac. They just released a new, like the ZBox or something like that, that comes with Ubuntu pre-installed.
Linux is going to become popular as poorer countries move to the internet. Well, even China. As China moves to the internet, right now in China, it's a choice of Linux or pirated Windows. And pirated Windows with all the controls that Microsoft has is really not that appealing anymore. And so you see, Linux sort of taking off in China.
Okay, operating system worries aside, we've also, kind of moaned a bit about the way things have been going at Microsoft with Windows 8 and everything. But what else are they doing? They've got a huge R&D team over there. And back in November 16th to be exact, Steve Wozniak said that he is afraid that Microsoft is now more innovative than Apple. So that's pretty crazy. So let's take a look at just some of the things that Microsoft is working on that are not OS based.
Yeah, they're completely research projects. They're not like, oh, we're building a product that's going to be out. They're just doing research.
Now they've got this project going on where they're building these touchscreens and they're blending them into everything. And a lot of it's projector based. Like there's one system they're building that you can install a bunch of projectors around a room, and then you calibrate it for that room, and then it will project screens everywhere, and you can touch them. And there's even methods to like move the screens from place to place. You can hold up your hand and project things onto your hand, and it's all touch based. So that could be a new way to look at computers. There's also a shoulder mounted option, and it's got sort of a very small version of the Kinect in it, and that'll basically look around your surroundings, and you can project a screen onto anything. So I could be sitting here like just doing stuff. I'm not sure what the application or the implications of that sort of technology would be. We could have a holodeck soon.
Yeah,
I mean they're taking the first steps. They want like giant computerized walls everywhere, and those may be projector based. Those may be a film you put on the wall, but they're working on all sorts of different things. They're working on tons of projects with the Kinect. I'll leave you a link to this article so you can go through it all yourself. But Microsoft is doing a lot of interesting things. They've even got their own version of like Google goggles. They've got the Microsoft goggles. I'm not sure if that's what they're called or not. They're at the bottom of this article, and it's screwing slowly. There's the holodeck thing. Let me get to the bottom here. Oh, there's a new sort of anti-aliasing rendering they're coming up with. So Microsoft is doing a lot. Yeah, Kinect glasses. There we are. Augmented reality with Kinect glasses. So that would be good for gaming. That's going to be good for things like Google goggles, similar stuff like that. I haven't played with 3DS much. All right, let's talk about something a little more serious. So there's a guy, his name's Bob Stewart, and he's a software developer, and he writes software for gambling websites. Now, gambling websites are illegal in the United States of America. However, it is not illegal to make the software and sell them to entities outside of the United States, and that's what Bob Stewart was doing. Lives in Arizona. So a federal prosecutor sees this, and he decides that we need to get the feds involved. Sends the FBI in. And this is like a Kim.com style raid they did on Bob Stewart's house.
In 2008.
Yeah. So it's been a couple of years, but this is it all coming up right now because,
new things have happened.
Yeah, some new twists and turns in the road.
We're just giving you the background.
Yeah, so anyway, they all surrounded his house, like the entire SWAT team for Bob Stewart. This guy does not look like he's ever... Well, maybe he's been in a fist fight. Maybe.
They even had Chuck wearing, like, ghillie suit. But it was, like, ghetto ghillie suit.
Yeah, no, they had, like, a guy with bushes on his shoulder, like, to blend into the forest. They charge his house. They threaten him. They threaten him and his wife. They tell him they're going to go to prison and all this stuff. And
the charges were like, like money laundering and illegal gambling.
They made him look like a mob boss.
Yeah, like they made him look like a mob boss.
So anyway, after this entire thing was over, the only thing he was charged with was like, what, money laundering or what was it?
Yeah, it was money laundering. It took them 18
like
months after the raid to the time they charged him, and he says they didn't charge him because he wouldn't take their plea agreement.
Now, what did they want? That's the thing. What did they want? And that's what we want to get down to. They wanted a backdoor in his software. That was the plea agreement. He's like, you know what? You're cool. We'll let you go. You can keep making your software, keep making your money. Just put a backdoor in there for us. Now, he showed this to the press. And that's where everything got a little crazy.
News.
That's the news. Now, they just wanted to spy. That's all. That's it. They sent that entire team in there to intimidate him into putting the backdoor in the software so that they could spy on anyone who's using that software.
Now, the New York prosecutors said that, from like 2006 to 2011, people in New York were apparently using some of these illegal betting websites. But the guy didn't have anything to do with those websites. He just wrote the software. There was another case from the same year, I think that started the same year. There was an Iranian software... Well, there was a software developer who was a resident of Canada.
In Canada. He went to Iran.
But his family lived in Iran. I think he came from Iran.
Yeah.
And he was visiting his family, and he was arrested. And the reason he was arrested is because some porn company had used his software to post images to a blog. His real crime, was that he'd just written software to help people upload their images to their blogs. And he'd had thousands of customers. And
one happened to upload naked pictures.
Yeah, one happened to upload naked pictures, and somehow they found it in Iran. He was arrested and sentenced to death.
So we don't know, is he dead or alive right now? His lawyer said that His
lawyer said that he converted to Islam and blah, 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 and so he's getting a stay of execution, but it's Iran, so he may be dead.
No, we haven't heard from him. He's probably dead.
Family hasn't heard anything.
Let's take a look at the Ubuntu phone, shall we? And that's just kind of interesting because it gives us a lot of freedom. I mean, carrying around Ubuntu in your pocket, you can pretty much do whatever you want with it. There's two different versions that are going to be available, like an Ubuntu Lite version, and there's a more extreme version. The Lite version will work with a 1 gigahertz A4 processor. That's an ARM processor. And then the Uber version, like the more full-featured version of Ubuntu, you'll need a quad-core. But for very little hardware, like A4, 1 gigahertz single-core processor and 512 megabytes of RAM, you've got a phone. Could be a very inexpensive phone as well. Touchscreen, Ubuntu. My question is, who is going to use this? Are people willing to make apps for it? And what company would make a device that with Ubuntu pre-installed?
This is kind of nice from a freedom standpoint in that you can be sure what software is running on your phone. You can be sure that there's not, third-party software installed that's, sending your keystrokes home like we saw last year. Everything you typed into the phone was recorded for quote-unquote troubleshooting purposes.
Yeah, my question really has been like, how is this going to spread? Are they going to make it a version of this software that you can install on your current phones, like my Motorola Photon 4G, just, plug it up to USB and one-click install it on this? That might be an option.
That'd be pretty neat, but most people are not going to want to install an operating system on their phone.
So what companies would prepackage Ubuntu with their phones? So we've got Apple, that's right out. Nope, not going to happen. We've got Motorola, which is Google, so that's going to be Android. That's not going to happen. We got HTC. What are they up to these days? I don't know. Making those 3D things. What are they called?
They're doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Possibly HTC.
Possibly HTC. Maybe they make a token device, like, hey, we've got one, like one over here. Who else do we have out there? We've got Samsung. But Samsung, they're really married to Android. And at the same time, even though that seems like a match made in heaven, they want to move away from Android. So let's talk about Samsung and move away from Ubuntu for a minute. They want to inch away from Android so that they can maintain control over their own ecosystem and their own environment. Now, you had some speculation on what they might be up to with this.
Well, Samsung's got a lot of electronics. I mean, everything from washers and dryers to televisions to smartphones to tablets to computers. I mean, everything.
Probably even weed whackers.
Yeah, I mean, they want...
Weed eaters or whatever you call them wherever you're from.
When you get a tweet or when you set up your Twitter account on your refrigerator, you shouldn't have to set up your Twitter account on any other Samsung brand device.
You just said when you set up your Twitter account on your refrigerator, my head almost just exploded.
Samsung does make a refrigerator that you can tweet from.
Oh, God, my head. It hurts.
Tweeting is that important, damn it. No, not really.
I got an ice maker.
A Samsung ice maker? Does it have apps?
I can tweet, make cup of ice. And then by the time I get home...
Can you get the tweets etched in the ice?
That would be interesting.
Or tweets etched in the toast. I don't know if there's a Samsung toaster.
Yeah.
Probably not enough margin in toasters for Samsung to get into toasters.
I thought you said enough margarine in toast. Oh,
enough
God.
Margarine.
Not enough margarine in that toast.
What did you say last week? That's my punishment.
Oh, yeah, that is your punishment. Yes, sir. I'm the punisher.
Yeah, I'm not really good at those.
So what operating system would they be using? Perhaps Tizen. Have you seen Tizen?
Tizen, yeah.
Yeah, it's a Linux-based OS. Looks similar to Android, very similar to Android. And now this, who knows what's going to happen with it? Samsung's obviously going to be pushing this if they decide to use it. Could it run Android apps? Could Ubuntu run Android apps? Could either one of those environments run Android apps? Because that is what they are going to need to succeed. The fact that they, already have apps that work on it. Because Android has such a large library of apps.
Historically, Google has not been very friendly with ROM developers running their own version of the App Store. So I would say no, probably not. But there are some ROM developers who do have a working version of the store, but anything that has content protection in it doesn't work. So like if you get movies and things like that from the Play Store, it's not going to work on your device.
Right. So FISA passed, and nobody's really talking about it. We're going to mention it just for a few minutes because...
Not only did no one talk about it, no one cared.
Everyone's too busy yelling and screaming about Zuckerberg's sister, who got upset about a picture that was posted on the internet that wasn't supposed to be public, but she put it on the internet and people retweeted it or something. I don't know what happened.
Apparently the deal with Facebook is that if you post a picture and then in the description of the picture you it's like, look how stupid Randy looks. Randy OMG da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Even though Randy is not in your circles or whatever, Randy can still see the picture because he was tagged in the picture. Mm-hmm. And that's what happened here.
And it went everywhere. And that's what people are talking about, not FISA. That's what's important in the United States of America.
See, it's really, the cognitive dissonance here is really crazy because if Facebook privacy is that important to people, I don't understand how the other kinds of privacy are not equally as important. It makes no sense.
Well, that, but also, a lot of people are just not even aware that FISA passed because the media, by and large, is not getting into it. The New York Times did not talk about the vote, the FISA vote. They didn't talk about it. Not in the New York Times. But they sure as hell covered Twitter nonsense and Facebook nonsense and privacy policy changes on these websites. It makes me sad.
That is very sad. It's sad because...
FISA is a direct attack on the Fourth Amendment.
It really is.
And, yeah. I'm just waiting for those guys with the... What would they wear on their shoulders around here? Every night I've been seeing a flashlight outside my window like every night for like the last 3 days. And it's not a car. It's like sweeps back and forth like 3 times my window.
Better get a shotgun.
Get a shotgun and a tiger.
Castle doctrine. If you see him, shoot him. Drag him inside.
But yeah, who's that? Guys, you guys can just knock. Just take off your bushes, off your shoulders, and knock. We'll have tea. You guys tell me what's wrong. And we can figure this out. Unless your tea is poisoned. Kim.com. Okay, now, we talked about this a little while ago. We talked about the Department of Justice and their deliberate misleading of the courts with all the nonsense that's been going on. Remember, how was... You can probably say this more succinctly than I can, and then I'll get into what's happening today.
Okay, so a while ago, we speculated that the Kim.com lawyers would say that once the warrant was unsealed, that, oh, wait a minute, the stuff that they said that we were told to remove in the warrant that we didn't remove was actually, we were asked to preserve that because it was part of another investigation. And so they've actually officially filed now, and their lawyers are saying that, well, the Department of Justice entrapped us because they found some stuff on there. They found some illegal movies on Mega Upload, and then they asked us to preserve those links so that they could continue to investigate it. And
then they came back and said, why are you preserving that illegal stuff?
And then got to, shut them down at Carpathia.
So that's what's going on right now. They've officially filed.
It's a really interesting read. Go read it.
Yeah, it is pretty interesting. So that's what's going on with Kim.com's case. And I'm really going to be curious to see how the Department of Justice deals with this because now it's an official filing. And now they've got to say something back, and they're going to have time to say something back, of course. But I really cannot wait to see what their rebuttal is to this.
It's going to be something like, Wookiees are not from Endor. It doesn't make any sense. You must acquit. Oh, wait. No, that's not what they want. You must ignore this.
They're just going to... What they're going to do is just going to paste that picture of Darth Vader pouring water in the... You know, have you seen that picture of the beach? Yeah. And that's all they're going to do. They're just going to post that picture.
I'm not sure those things work for desalination. I mean, that's the implication, isn't it? It's taking beach water and trying to desalinate it.
I have no, it's Darth Vader. I have no
Oh, yeah,
idea.
it is Darth. Well, I mean, I guess he's a little out of place.
Yeah. And the Darth Vader at the beach? With a Brita filter or a whatever, pure filter? I don't know what that stuff is. We're going to talk about this briefly, very briefly. The Sandy Hook Massacre. There's now a group. Some of the neighborhood guys have gotten together, guys and girls, and they formed a group. And they are encouraging people to destroy their violent video games. So video games are to blame for this. Let me just say this. It's something that Pistol said earlier. If games are to blame for the violence, then everyone on Facebook would be a farmer. Oh, this is awesome. The Slurper. What a name. That sounds like a terrible name for a device, but the Slurper. A bunch of guys, and all their names are listed here on the top of the page here, have gotten together and they've created the Slurper. Now what this is, it's a 6-channel ward drive box with 6 fully configurable Wi-Fi connectors, and what it does is it grabs all of the open Wi-Fi connections near you. If you're in a city, it's going to be like heyday, especially if you're in a city near a bunch of coffee shops. It grabs all those Wi-Fi connections and turns them into one mega connection, and then it feeds you that. So you're using all these connections together. It's going to make it very hard to track anything you're doing, number one, because who knows, your IP address is going to be different for almost everything you're grabbing off the internet. And it's also going to be extremely fast. It's the Slurper. And the other thing that's interesting, it's been released under the Creative Commons licensing, making it very easy for you to build your own Slurper. Should we build a Slurper?
Yeah, we'll probably do that just to mess around with it. The reality is that, once you establish a connection, it's not going to hop connections. But, for downloading files and things like torrenting, it would be great.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Intel TV thing. So Intel wants to get into TV, and they think that originally they came out and they're like, hey, we've solved the problem, because right now there's a content distribution problem in Hollywood and nobody knows how to distribute the content correctly. And Intel's like, oh, well, we can do this. We'll just charge per channel.
Yeah,
you can
press
build your own
release,
package.
The first press release was hilarious because it was like, ladies and gentlemen, we have the holy grail of television. You can get any channel you want a la carte. It's going to be great. We have a plan. We have the hardware. We have the televisions. We have everything.
And then Hollywood.
5 minutes later.
Hollywood goes, that was them freaking out, sucking all the air out of the room.
And then Intel was like, we're having some licensing problems.
Yeah, so that's what's going on right now with this. We don't know exactly how this is going to work, but it looked to be a step in the right direction, and it looked to be a step more than Google's offering and Apple's offering with Apple TV and all that nonsense. And then no, they're in negotiations. So who knows what's going to happen with this? They may be showing some of the technology at CES in very soon in Las Vegas. Yeah, it's sad because they could have fixed a lot of things with that. That's a good idea.
A la carte TV shows on things like iTunes, they really have that right. But iTunes is a pain to deal with, and it's like 10 times more expensive than a cable system.
Yeah, you end up paying a ton of money.
Unless you're only interested in 2 or 3 shows, then iTunes would be cheaper. But,
well, I mean, if you want Game of Thrones and Boardwalk Empire, you got to pay for both of those on iTunes, whereas with Google's service, you just pay a la carte for that one channel, and you get access to all those shows.
True.
It makes a lot of sense. I would have AMC, HBO, and like the Science Channel, because Discovery Channel has really become like the bearded man channel with axes and equipment. The bearded man with equipment channel. That's what Discovery Channel's kind of become lately. Have you seen all that stuff?
I can't think of anything but History Channel because it's like they added aliens to everything.
Because aliens. Honey Boo Boo's an alien. Did you hear? Quadrocopters. There's a really inexpensive kit that has come out, and I'll let you go ahead and tell them about this.
Okay, so a quadrotor, the cool thing is that the next generation of quadrotors they're very cheap. What this is, if you don't know, it's an autonomous, 4-rotor flying device. Essentially a drone. It's got its own computer control system, so it's easy to fly. It doesn't really require a lot of skill to fly. You can just tell it, I want you to go up, down, left, right, forward, backward. But it also has a wireless video system. if you've got your ham radio operator's license, the thing has 2 miles of range. There's some really incredible videos, and it looks like it would be a really, really cool toy. But these drones, I mean, even like a complete kit with everything in the wireless video and the radios and the whole 9 yards is only around $1,500.
We gotta get one of these.
We do. We
You
really
have your ham
do.
radio license?
Yes.
I need to get mine. Get your ham radio license, guys, because that may be the future of the internet as well. Okay, let's talk about some science. NASA is thinking about it. They're thinking about going and getting an asteroid and bringing it closer and letting it orbit the moon. They're thinking about doing this in the 2020s.
Maybe the dinosaurs did that.
Oops. Yeah, we don't know how smart the dinosaurs were.
They had a space program.
Yeah, it's probably better than NASA. But by the time the 2020s run around, it's not going to be NASA anymore. It's going to be like, hey, what's NASA up to? And you'll be like, you mean Randy and Steve in the trailer? That's what NASA's going to be in 2020s.
That's really terrible.
SpaceX will be moving the asteroid closer to Earth and endangering us all.
It's going to orbit the moon, apparently.
Yeah, orbit the moon, yeah. And we're going to go up there and exploit it. Maybe we can find one with lithium or uranium. People love uranium these. Oh, I can't put uranium. I'll be on a list.
Gold.
Gold, yes.
We'll mine the asteroids for gold.
So that's interesting. Who knows what's going to happen with that? But hey, it looks like fun. So let's go get an asteroid, shall we? Video games. Sony has filed a new patent, and with this new patent, they want to marry your games to their next generation console, and only one console. Let me just break this down for you. What they really want to do here is make it so that if you buy a game, you can't resell it. There'll be no more GameStop used games, and you can't take it to someone else's house. You have to buy it again to go over there, because it takes the game that you buy and marries it to your console, and that's it. Now, there's a lot of people like freaking out right now. What happens if you break your game or you break your console, I'm sorry, and have to get a new console? Will you be able to play your game again? Who knows?
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's like, which option involves you giving them money? Whichever option involves you giving them money is the option that they're going to default to.
And this draconian DRM?
Yeah, Sony's on its deathbed anyway. Let them die.
All right, last gaming article of the day. There's a new Cyberpunk 2077 trailer coming out next week, and if you're someone like me who's enjoys CD Projekt's games like The Witcher, you might be looking forward to this. I think there hasn't been a very good Cyberpunk game since, well, Deus Ex. There's been a lot that have tried, but who knows? I think that these guys might be able to get it right because they understand how to make a game gritty and dark. And Cyberpunk has to be gritty and dark. And here's a Twitter feed from their marketing guy who let the bean slip because he's so excited about it and he kept posting about it. And then one of the fans was like, "Where are you watching this? I need to see it now." And he replies with, "You can't see it yet, dingus." So one of the fans, he called one of the fans dingus, and he's their marketing guy.
Oops.
Listen, dingus, don't talk to your fans that way, dingus. So that's the word of the day. Every time you hear dingus, you scream and make your couch scream and everything else. People don't get that reference.
No. Was that a Pee Wee Herman reference?
Yeah.
Oh.
Subscribe, the button's over here.
Probably.
Unless YouTube's changed it again.
No,
Yeah.
or you might not have gotten the new layout yet.
Oh, well, it's on. I think we did. People are complaining about it a lot.
Depends on if users are logged in or not.
Oh, yeah. Well, everyone who's complaining, the subscribe button's down there. If not, it's up there. But I think most of you guys are on the new layout, and I'm on the new layout. And because there's just so much complaining going on about the layout. People complain like crazy. So, yeah, that's that. Anything else to add before we're done with this? Happy New Year. Happy Lunar New Year, which is coming up sometime soon. We'll celebrate that on account of the moon.
Yeah, Lunar New Year. Send us your interesting stories.
Yeah, send us interesting stories and send us pictures of your farm hacking. See you guys next time. A monomarth would approve if my heart, exploded and ruined this shirt.
It's gonna be like Teddy Roosevelt. We're gonna finish the show.
We're gonna finish the show. Even if my heart explodes, we'll keep going.
The show must go on.